again for joining us. Let's get started. Let's introduce Taylor Somerville. He is the founder of Symmetry. He is an XPT master coach, which is a very rare thing. And I hope that he explains what that means, because that is a very rare accolade and certification on his end. He holds the Art of Breath certification. He's a CrossFit Level 1 trainer. And he also has a certification in CrossFit's aerobic capacity program. So with that, I'm going to ask Taylor to go ahead and turn on his camera, turn on his microphone, and take it away. So Taylor, the show is yours, my friend.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, City Current, for having me here today. As Jeremy mentioned, my name is Taylor Somerville, and I'm the founder of Symmetry. Just a little bit of background on myself. I was in the investment business for 15 years prior to founding Symmetry. And that is when I got into these techniques. Very high stress environment. I was on a trading floor, working in the macroeconomic department, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, always on the go in front of computer screens for a good 10 to 12 hours every day. And had some, issues, little anger issues, high stress aspect of it. And I found these techniques as a way to help me better handle what I was going through personally and professionally. And what I found was I was better able to respond in stressful situations instead of reacting. And the breath is the only system thing in our body that is automatic, yet it is under our control. It's the first thing we do, and it's the last thing we do. And it is under our control because it's a tool that we have to change our mental and physical state. We can use it to ramp us up, get us ready for situations. We can also use it to bring us down and calm our nervous system. What we're going through today in modern society is a chronic stress state. We have information coming at us. We're constantly on our computers, our phones, whether you're scrolling through Instagram or social media, or you're just doing meetings. And especially in this last year and a half, a lot of Zoom meetings, things like that. When what happens is we put ourselves in this fight or flight. And that is the stress side of the nervous system. So it is when something happens evolutionarily, that would be running from the lion. Now it is more of an emotional response, or prepping for a presentation, or just dealing with everyday things in life. And we stay stuck in this chronic stress, releasing cortisol and adrenaline and those stress hormones, which in an acute situation, perfectly normal, perfectly fine. But it is when we get stuck in that state, it breeds a lot of long-term health consequences, cardiovascularly, and really affecting all systems of our body, because the breath touches every system. And as we learn to breathe properly, we're able to better use the oxygen we're taking in, giving ourselves more energy, more focus, clarity for our brain, helps improve our blood pressure, cardiovascular system, even our digestive system. Because we want to be able to put ourselves ready to get into those stress situations, but then we need to bring ourselves down and come back down right after that. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through a breathing session, and really a calming session. Going to go through a bunch of different techniques, stuff that the military uses, stuff that's been around for thousands of years. Then after that, I'm going to review some of that, give you guys some take homes that you can do whenever you need them, and then answer any questions you might have. So for this session, I want you to do it seated. I know somebody's out there walking on their treadmill desk, so you might want to find a space and just sit down. You can sit on the floor, sit in a chair, whatever you find most comfortable. We're going to go over one technique before we get started. So I want you to just take your hand and put it up to your mouth like you're fogging up a mirror, and just making that kind of ha sound. Creates a slight resistance in the back of your throat. Now I want you to close your mouth and just do it breathing in through the nose, just making a we call that the ocean breath. It's a very calming technique, and one we're going to be using a lot in this session. If you've ever done yoga, it's also the Ujjayi breath in yoga, and it just creates kind of the sound of ocean waves in the back of your head. So I want you to go ahead and find your space. Seated in the chair, I want you to just spread your legs about hip width distance and place them firmly into the ground, just creating some connection. I want you to keep your spine straight and imagine a string just pulling your head high. You roll the shoulders down and back. Just close your eyes. Begin to breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. So I'd like you to just take your tongue, place it on the roof of your mouth. And I want you just to check in as we begin. I want you to notice how you feel. I want you to notice where your breath is going. Is it going into your belly? Is it into your chest? Is it fast or slow? Just check in with your body, notice if you're holding any tension. Relax your face and jaw. Relax the shoulders. And now I want you just to begin to use that ocean breath. Begin to slow your breath down. Just on your own. Take your hands and just place them on your belly. As you breathe in, the belly expands, the ribs expand. Might get a little bit up into the chest. And as you breathe out, just letting them fall. Just breathing slowly in through the nose and out through the nose. I want you just to take a feeling, an attitude. Maybe it's ease, calm, it's some energy. With each breath, I want you just to imagine that feeling getting stronger and stronger inside of you. Slowly in through the nose and slowly out. Now, wherever you are, I want you just to go ahead and exhale your air. Let's breathe in for 3, 2, 1, pause. Out for 3, 2, 1, and hold for 3, 2, 1. In for 3, 2, 1, pause. And out for 3, 2, 1, and hold for 3, 2, 1. In for 3, 2, 1, pause. And out for 3, 2, 1. Hold for 3, 2, 1. In for 3, 2, 1, pause. Out for 3, 2, 1, and hold for 3, 2, 1. This time we're going to go in for 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Out for 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. In for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Out for 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. You continue that on your own. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, and hold for 4. So breathe in, expanding the belly and the ribs. As we breathe out, just letting them fall. Just notice what it feels like. That space between the breath. You want to rush on to the next breath? Or are you comfortable sitting in this space? In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, and hold for 4. Just picture a box in your head, equally into each side of it. Slowing the breath down, slowing the mind down. Go through a few more rounds like this. Now, wherever you are, just exhale your air, and we're going to fill up slowly using that ocean breath. Fill the belly, fill the ribs, all the way up in the chest, fill all the way up. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Just going to pause at the top here for a second. We're going to split our exhale up into 3 different parts. I want you to think about exhaling a third, and a third. So once you exhale a third, and let it all go. Inhale, filling all the way up, belly, ribs, all the way up in the chest. Keep going, pausing at the top, letting a third go, another third, and then letting it all out. Breathe in, filling all the way up. Keep going, keep going. You don't think you can get any more. Suck in a little bit more on top. Just hold for a second. Let's let a third go, another third, and then let it all out. Fill all the way up. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't think you can get any more. Just suck a little bit more in. Just and hold. We're going to hold a little bit longer on this one. Let's let a third go, another third, and then let it all. One more time, fill all the way up, belly, ribs, all the way up into the chest, and hold. Let's let a third go, another third, and let it all out. Now I want you just to take a few breaths on your own in the nose and out. I want you to figure out what a comfortable, nice, natural breath in through the nose and out through the nose feels like. Not necessarily a full breath, just a nice, easy, comfortable breath. And normal everyday breath would feel like. We're going to begin to reduce the amount of air you're taking in here. You're going to be playing on the edges of stress and relaxation. Feel what that nice natural breath is. I want you to begin to take in about 10% less. As you're doing this, the desire for more air should begin to build. Doing this, carbon dioxide builds up in our system, triggers our brain to want a little bit more air. You're in control. You have plenty of air. I want you to reduce the amount of air a little bit more. Another 10%. Creating even a little bit more desire for air. Start feeling some alarm bells going off in your head. But you're okay. You have plenty of oxygen in your system. So we're reducing this amount of air. Someone's looking at you, they can't really tell you're breathing. Can't hear you breathing. Just playing on that edge of stress and relaxation. Let's reduce that air just a little bit more. Should begin to get a stronger urge to breathe. Your brain tells you need more, but you don't need it. Stay with this. Just imagine like you're just taking air in through the nostril and right back out. Just filling up that space in the nose and letting it go. We're not going to do this too much longer. Can you stay with it? Handle that urge to breathe. 15 more seconds. Stay with this. Five more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Give me a big, deep breath in through the nose. And just let it fall out of the nose. In and out. Here we're going to a circular breath in through the nose and out. Really filling the belly, filling the ribs, and then just letting it go. Might start feeling a little tingly as we do this. It's all natural. It's just changing your blood gases. In through the nose and out. Keep going. Big, full breath in and just let it go. In and out. In and out. Few more breaths here. 3, 2, 1. Take a big full breath in and hold. Relax the face and jaw. Keep holding. I want you to exhale and hold. Stay with it. We're almost there. Breathe in and hold. Breathe out and hold. Now I want you to breathe in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. We're going to purse our lips together and slowly blow this out. Just slowly in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. And let's slowly blow it out. So if we can blow it out for 8 seconds, just 3, 2, 1. In for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Slowly blowing it out. Just in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. This time we're going to just hiss it through our teeth. Just let's go in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Slowly hiss that exhale out. Just in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Slowly hiss that exhale out. Let's go in for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 5, 2, 1. Now let's use that ocean breath out for 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold for 3, 2, 1. In for 5, 2, 1. Hold for 5, 2, 1. Let's slowly exhale out for 8, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold for 3, 2, 1. In for 5, 2, 1. Hold for 5, 2, 1. Slowly out for 8, 3, 2, 1. And hold for 3. In for 5, 2. Hold for 5, 2, 1. Slowly out for 8, 3, 2, 1. And hold for 3, 2, 1. In for 5, 2, 1. Hold for 5, 2, 1. Slowly out for 8, 2, 1. And hold for 3, 2, 1. Now I want you just to let your breath go back natural into the body. Checking back in. Noticing how you're feeling. Does the breath feel any different from when you first began? Checking in with the body, noticing tension in the neck, shoulders. Noticing how your state feels. I want you to take a nice big stretch overhead. Pull out your ankles, wrist, and you can open your eyes whenever you're ready. So what we went through there is just a host of different techniques, help calm the system. I want to go over a few of them that I find very helpful to do, great for beginners when you first start. Yeah. One of the first techniques we did was called box breathing. We're breathing in for 4, holding for 4, out for 4, and holding for 4. That is a technique that the actual Navy SEALs use, military uses. It's a great way to create a little focus and clarity. And it's something that I find very good to do first thing in the morning. When you get up, we have so much stuff coming at us. Instead of jumping on your phone, jumping on the news, and allowing the world to come at you, it gives you a little bit of space before everything starts happening to you. It gives you a little bit of clarity for your day. It's also good to do just between transitions. You can do that easily when you're driving. Don't have to close your eyes when you do it. Finding space, it's something you can do for a couple minutes in the shower. What we were also doing there, those extended exhales, that is a great way to help calm your nervous system down. As we slow our breath down, our nervous system slows down, our brain slows down. Because what happens in our stress response, when we start getting stressed out, our breathing rate picks up, our heart rate picks up, might start getting a little sweaty, might start getting a little tension in the gut, and your brain and your breath are constantly monitoring each other. And so as you see this breath slow down, it'll also slow down the nervous system, help bring you out of that stressful state. So long, slow exhales, we were going for about a doubling of the exhale. That's a great way. In for 3 to 4 seconds, out for 6 to 8, breathing in through the nose, using those hissing, humming technique. We didn't do any humming, but humming or just blowing it out, just that very calming. Do that in a stressful situation. Also great to do trying to go to sleep at night, just breathing in for 3 to 4 seconds, pausing, out to 6 to 8. Very good technique to help fall asleep or wake up in the middle of the night, help get you back to sleep. A couple of takeaways from this is, how to breathe as we're going through our day, because that is almost more important than doing these techniques in the moment. When you are going throughout your day, you really want to make sure you're breathing through your nose 95% of the time. Our nose is how we filter and clean out all of our air. It bounces out oxygen and carbon dioxide in our system, which allows us to use the oxygen we're taking in. When we're breathing out of our mouth, we're blowing off too much carbon dioxide. And what that effectively ends up doing is starving our system of the oxygen, because you have to have that CO2 there in order to offload oxygen into your brain and into your tissues. What you find too is people who deal with a lot of stress, anxiety, they don't tolerate carbon dioxide as well. So even small, tiny breath holds can be stressed out. So working on building up that tolerance, you can do that with the box breathing is a good technique. But, just making sure you're breathing in through the nose and will help filter that, clean out all the air. We also have what's called nitric oxide in our system, in our nasal passages. That helps open up your airways, dilate the blood vessels and airways, get blood and get the oxygen into the lower lobes of your lung and really push it out to the rest of your system. Next thing is to breathe lower. What I mean by that is really using the diaphragm. I was talking about breathing into the belly and the ribs. You hear a lot about a belly breath. We really want to focus on expanding horizontally. See a lot of people, most clients that I see when we first start working together, breath ends up being up here in this vertical upper chest pattern. What you're doing there is you're putting more stress on the system, taxing your neck and your shoulders. That's why we have a lot of tension in our neck and our shoulders, because we're breathing up in our upper chest. And that's something that happens as we get older. Really, you look at a kid, they have a nice diaphragmatic breath. Once they start getting into school, it shifts to this chest pattern. Part of that is society telling us to, keep our core tight, want to have a six-pack, look good, and even from just going to the doctor, putting the stethoscope on your chest, telling you to breathe, and it just reinforces this stress breathing pattern. And so that just I want you to think about, just, can you breathe a little lower? And then breathing slower, slowing your breath down, which we did a lot during that technique, during that session. As you slow your breath rate down, as I mentioned, helps slow the mind down and keeps you in that more calm, parasympathetic rest relaxation state, which we should be in most of the time. So that's really a big takeaway. And as you're going through your day, going from meeting to meeting, check back into your breath. Notice how you're breathing. When you get stressed out, do you start breathing in and out of your mouth, breathing up here in that chest breathing pattern? Maybe you hold your breath. Really creating awareness around what's happening as you begin to get stressed. If you are talking a lot on phone calls, meetings, slow your breath down, breathe in and out of your nose for a few minutes after you get done. In for 3 to 4 seconds, out for 6 to 8. Just slow your breath down, calm your system from that stress state, and get yourself ready for the next thing that you have to go to, whether it's another meeting or to go home with your family, whatever it is. You need to be able to get up and then just come back down. So that's really what I want you to think about is, can you drop out of that stressful situation so you can come back and be ready to go for the next one? Because if we are chronically on and never turn ourselves off, eventually it's going to catch up with you. Whether it is some long-term health issues or just the inability to handle what's coming at you. So, I work a lot with clients one-on-one, and we really focus on, how they handle stress, how they deal with it in their body, putting together the right routines, habits together to be able to handle that. And it's something I just really think you guys should become aware of, is your response to stress, how you deal with it. And, can you just slow yourself down? Just be ready to go again. Now I'll bring Jeremy back on and we'll answer some questions.
Yeah, good stuff. It's amazing how much, like the box breathing, how much that does get you reset and focused, and how you can feel it. And like you said, the difference between upper versus lower and focusing on that. But I'm curious, a couple of these. So one, for anyone who has questions, go ahead and put it in the chat box. We'll start taking questions from the chat. So go ahead and put your questions in the chat feature there, and we'll weave those in. But for starters, and you kind of touched on this, but I want to be specific. So if you are in a situation where you're angry, frustrated, right? Because it's going to happen probably sooner than later. First part of that, like you said, is the recognition, the awareness. Okay. Where do you like to go in that moment? So let's say you're in a meeting and you're starting to feel like you're getting angry. How do you handle that? Do you pull away? Do you close your eyes? Do you start to, like, in other words, how do you start breathing?
Yep.
When you're in front of people and you can feel yourself getting angry, how do you start to kind of bring some of this into that real life, in the moment experience? Like, what's a good bit of advice there?
One of the first things to do is, your eyes are also involved with how you deal with stress. So one of the things, we are chronically, we're focused on something, and that heightens your level of stress. So if you can look up and kind of gaze, panoramically, if you can look outside, that'll begin to help you come down. Then what I like to say, 2-4-6. So if you can just take a breath, I call this 2-4-6 technique. So 2 quick breaths in through the nose, just, and then focus on slowing it down, in through the nose, out of the mouth. Extending that exhale slightly longer than the inhale, 4 breaths like that, and then go back to just in the nose, out of the nose, trying to double that exhale. Extend that breath down as slow as you can, where it's comfortable. And that's a quick way to come out of a stressful situation and really get out of that focus intent. Because, if you're just staring at something or at a person, just break that for a second and that'll help you come back down.
What's a good starting point for working with your kids? So obviously they're dealing with a lot of stress at school. What's maybe one or two things as a parent you can do to start equipping? One, we can just show them this video, but start equipping our children. What's one or two good either tips or exercises for kids?
For one is, teaching the importance of breathing through your nose is a big one. But I have a technique that I like to use with kids. Is just calling it take 5. It's something that even you as an adult can do at any time. You do it under your desk and nobody has any idea you're doing it, but take 5, just starting here, starting at the palm, inhale, exhale, in, out. Just 5 breaths, and think about slowing it down, tracing out from your wrist out to your fingertip and back in. Take 5. They can do it anywhere, and kids, find that one very easy to remember and something that they can do at school. Nobody's going to see them doing it, and at pretty much all ages, have done it with very little kids as a thing that they can use. And I always get that. I work mainly with adults, so that's something I give to parents to help with their kids.
What's interesting too is just how much you don't realize, but you breathe through your mouth. In other words,
Yep.
when I, interviewed the first time, you're like, no, you need to be breathing through your nose. It's like you catch yourself sometimes like, oh wait, I should be breathing through my nose. And so it takes a while to recalibrate, but when you do, it's amazing how much of a difference it really does make. When you look at when clients are sitting down with you at first, what are some of those first things that you notice off the bat with your clients in terms of things they're doing wrong, questions they have? What are some of those typical things that people are coming to you where you notice right off the bat, these are the questions they typically ask or the things they're typically doing wrong?
Well, one of them, they're breathing in and out of their mouth most of the day. And one thing that, and also that kind of vertical breath pattern, as I sit there and, watch them breathe while we're talking and just conversing, they typically shift to that. And they also are breathing a lot per minute. So average breaths is about 14, 15 breaths per minute. But we really want to be on the lower end of that, 10, 12. So you have, all sorts of trackers that track that stuff nowadays. I got a Garmin watch. It tracks it, Whoops, O-rings, all of that. You look at a lot of the research based on heart rate variability, which is basically how our nervous system is stressed. The higher heart rate variability we have, the better we are able to handle stress. So as you can slow your breath down to anywhere from like a 5 to 7 breaths per minute is a great way to help calm down that stress response. It's another technique I have is have people spend a few minutes just going down to that 6 breaths per minute. That's a good one to do if you've been in meetings and talking a lot. I mean, most people are just talking all day. If you feel lethargic after you're doing that, the reason we feel tired is because you are pretty much starving your brain of oxygen by talking so much. And that's why you can feel a little lethargic, lack of focus after a big meeting, presentation, something like that. So when you get done with that, slow the breath down. And that's something pretty much all of my clients, I have them do, especially when we were first working together. And really, it's one of the big things is just creating an awareness because they do not know. For one, they don't know how they respond in stressful situations. It typically, the brain just kicks in and it's the stories that get told in your head and those stories start to snowball. And so what I tell them is you can't stop the mind with the mind. You can only stop the mind with the body. And the breath is one of that main tools. So, first become aware of what happens when you start getting stressed. It typically shows up somewhere. Your heart rate's going to speed up. You might feel a little tension in the gut or in your shoulders. Everybody's a little different. So first becoming aware of that. And then can you start to shift your breathing pattern and take control of that?
See, I'm already starting to see if I can try to get to 6 per minute. But that's in and of itself, that's good information because it's like, wow, okay, that's pretty slow. Like to
that is very slow. And it's not going to happen as you just naturally going through your day, but can you spend, what I call 365? So 3 times a day, 5 minutes, 6 breaths a minute is a good way just to begin to shift that pattern. And as you do it, what you'll notice if you track yourself, your breathing rate will slow while you sleep. And that's another big thing that I work with all of my clients on is improving their sleep, because our breath is very important in how we sleep and how we recover. And that's how we're able to be ready to go the next day, whether it is going to work, dealing with family, sports, whatever. If you're not sleeping properly, you're stressing your body out way more than needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So Karen puts in here, thank you. I truly appreciated this session. I have severe tinnitus and stress makes tinnitus worse. And tinnitus causes stress. I'll definitely incorporate these. I'm glad it was recorded so I can go back to write it all down. So thank you, Karen, for that. If anyone else has any questions or feedback, go ahead and put it in the chat box and we'll wrap up here with a couple more questions. One is for athletes. And like I just finished our state tennis tournament, and I'm curious for athletes where you're in the heat of the battle and you are getting up on the high pressure points or the stressful part of the game. What's maybe one or two breathing exercises, or, when you're in that moment, what's one thing you can do to get focused knowing that a big moment's coming up?
Well, going into a game, something like, box breathing is a good way to help get yourself focused before a game. And one of the things is if you don't practice it outside of the situation, it's not going to really work in the situation. Life is performed in chaos. So we need to be able to perform in those situations. And so, you've got to practice it first, but the box breathing and also, that 2-4-6, that same thing, get control of your breath, then slow it down. And, I like to use one of the things we use with our clients is cold water therapy. We use ice baths, stuff like that. That's really puts you in a stressful situation and forces you to bring it down. Learn how, okay, this is almost the most intense fight or flight I can get when I get into really cold water. We're not used to that, especially in the South. And putting yourself into situations like that and learning how to control your breath, slowing it down, and watching how immediately you can go from almost a full panic attack when you first get in to 30, 45 seconds later in a nice, calm state. And your body begins to adjust, hormones get to produce. And you can use that same thing in, as an athlete in sports as well. And if you can breathe through your nose more, that helps keep you in that much more level state. When you shift automatically, which a lot of people do in sports, breathing in and out of their mouth, you're stressing your body out a lot more than it needs to. So if you can keep that breath in through the nose, at least breathe out of the mouth if you need to, but that nasal breath will help keep the nervous system in a calmer state as you're going through your sports.
So you just explained how the athletes can take those ice baths afterward. And then also someone like JJ Watt can literally get in like the ice, like a lake that's iced over, and sit there calmly. And it's just,
Yeah.
like you said, the breathing.
And that's, that video, I work with some of those guys who were in that with him. And then we've done some stuff together, and it's, they use the same techniques that I like to use with my clients as well.
Explain to me what I mentioned it on the front end, but I think, it's good to explain it just because it is a really impressive credential. But being an XPT master coach, explain what that means.
So XPT was started by Laird Hamilton, who is a big wave surfer. Was the first guy to surf like 70, 80-foot waves. And his wife, Gabrielle Reese, who's a professional volleyball player and actress model. And they have been using a lot of these techniques for decades with a group of professional athletes and high-level executives that all train together using the breathing techniques, using hot and cold therapy. We also do pool workouts where you are in another stressful situation. We do a lot of weights in the water, really learning how to control your breath and settle the mind in those types of situations. What they did is they basically took all the experimental work that they were doing. Then they had experiences where you came out and you trained with them, and it is I went to the first one about 5 years ago, and it's about 20, I would say, type A people, doctors, lawyers, finance, pro athletes, out there to train for a few days, learning, not only the nutrition, mindset, the breathing, all these techniques. Then they started a certification program, really took all of the research that is beginning to back that, because this stuff's been around for thousands of years, but now we're getting, every major institution is using this, are starting to research what's going on here. And so they started a certification program really based on the principles, the science behind everything. And we, I've just kind of grown through that. Now there's only 6 master coaches around the world. We certify, the other coaches that are starting to come back up. We're getting these certifications now back up and running since COVID was over. And I also do some work with work clients as well.
This is coming from McKinsey, and you'll know more of this than I will, but it's thoughts on Wim Hof breathing, and it's WIMHOF, Wim Hof breathing.
Yeah, that's Wim Hof. It is a, it's a great technique. It's one of the things that I first got into when I was delving into this. It's a much faster paced pattern. You are sending your body on that stress response. So we kind of have spectrums of the breath, slower paced techniques, which we did a lot of, and then faster stuff like Wim Hof, where you are putting yourself in a stress response. You're actually blowing off a lot of carbon dioxide. You're releasing a lot of adrenaline into the system. A lot of research on helping the immune system, helping deal with stressful situations. So it's a technique I use with my clients. It's just one of the methods that I like to use. And I find I like to ease them into that, because when you are doing it, it can cause a lot of reactions. And if you're not really sure about really tingling, make you a little lightheaded. So I like to work people into that technique, but it's one that I really like, and I use it quite often for myself and with clients.
Nice.
And he's also kind of popularized the ice baths and stuff like that.
Good question. I'm learning a lot myself. This is good. If anybody else has any other questions, go ahead and put them in the chat box or feedback for Taylor. But go ahead and wrap up, Taylor, on your end. Talk about Symmetry in terms of where we can go to get more information and just what you do. I mean, you've mentioned it, obviously, kind of a little bit of a teaser on it, but talk about some of the different things you do, different opportunities, and obviously where we can go to find you and access all the information.
Yeah, so, what I mainly do is I help busy people take back control of their lives, they have more time, more energy, and less stress. Work a lot with one-on-one, virtually and in person here. Also do work, we do the virtual breath classes every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Central. Monday is a more stress-focused class. Wednesday, we're working on breathing for health. So we're working on improving your breathing mechanics, along with some other techniques. Friday, it's a session I call Journey of the Breath, which is it's about a 40 minute breath session, which goes through a lot of different techniques like the Wim Hof. We use a lot of those patterns in there, do longer breath holds. Can get a little stressed out in the moment, but by the end of it, people are typically in a calm, euphoric state, ready for the weekend. Then I also do the heat and ice contrast therapy around town, and have a few sessions that I run every week with that as well. I have some free ebooks that you can find on my website, www.symmetry.live. I'm also on Instagram at symmetry.live. A lot of free information, YouTube videos. You guys have been putting out some of them, and those go over some of these techniques along with some of the more educational material as well.
Yeah, and you have a newsletter, a blog, all sorts of stuff. You're constantly putting out good information.
Yeah, and you can find all that through symmetry.live. Sign up, contact me through there, and love to hear from you guys.